Hello and welcome back to the channel. My name is Orochio and we're here for episode 2 of my ATM9 playthrough. As you'll notice, this is quite different from where we left off in the last video, and I'm going to quickly talk about that. Basically, a lot of the progression that I had done between videos was vanilla. It was very slow and there wasn't a lot that was done that I felt was worthy of leaving into the video. I think it was really boring, quite honestly, and it was super slow, and I was probably going to get maybe 3-4 minutes of even remotely entertaining content out of, 4 or 5 hours of footage. So I decided not to edit it, but I'm still not 100% sure I'm going to save it that way. I might come back and do like an episode 1.5 later on, I'm not really sure. If you want to see that, let me know down in the comments. I would love to hear some feedback about that. But that's why I didn't leave a lot of stuff in. I'm going to try to slowly explain as we go on, like, hey, oh, this is how I got this. But that's also going to come with time. So the biggest two accomplishments of this video are first the Applied Energistics ME system, which you're seeing me work on currently. And later on you'll see an ore generation machine that I designed myself using integrated dynamics, which is pretty cool because it generates ore from literally stone and it reuses the stone, so it's just infinite. Those two things though are a huge leap in progression for us. Having resources on tap as well as a way to store all of our items very well is, I think, something that should have been done sooner. Right here, we are currently removing the enchantments using Coral Tombstone mod from my pickaxe, which that pickaxe will later be used for the integrated dynamics machine that we'll be making, which it couldn't have Silk Touch on it, so I took it off. But once the Silk Touch was removed, I ended up going down and getting rid of these mobs because it was just so loud. I noticed in the last video where there were some points where the mobs were getting really loud and I was getting bothered by it, and honestly the frames were starting to drop a bit from the amount of mobs, so I had to go down and clear the spawners and kill them and everything like that. Although unfortunately, as you'll see, there is a point where kind of disaster struck, but we'll wait for that. Now, you'll notice the tools that I'm using are Allthemodium tools, which is something that I skipped that I think I should talk about. Allthemodium is like a step above Netherite, which also needs a smithing template, which you can get from the brushing that it was added to 1.20, kind of like with the suspicious sand and gravel, except this time it's suspicious clay, and then there's suspicious soul sand for the next tier, and I believe that's it for those. But basically those are a lot better tools than vanilla, and they give special effects and they're indestructible, and it's just super good stats. So I'm using those instead. I didn't show that, but I think that's something I should mention. Clearing out the mobs down below in the temple took quite a bit of time, honestly, but it was really worth it, getting rid of that extra sound that was always in the background and the lag from, so many entities. I did get a bit of loot from it, but honestly a lot of the loot that was there I didn't even take because I either didn't have the inventory space, where it wasn't worth it to take it to clog up my inventory, or I really just didn't need it. Certain things like the spirit orbs from Paraglider, I'm not even sure what they're used for yet. That's a new mod to me. But I wanted to kind of just get rid of all the spawners because it was just getting so annoying every time I had to go down there for anything, whether it be cable management or anything like that. Just below the base there was mobs, and it was really just, it was worth it to go down and get rid of them. Unfortunately, coming up there was a little bit of a disaster that I didn't find out about until I was editing the video that you'll see here. And if you were quick you might have caught that, but here's it again in slow motion. I had put my dank, which is basically a storage bag of sorts, into this chest before sorting it and not realizing that I had put it in there. Up to date with this, I had not realized that, until right now, I didn't realize when I was editing this that I hadn't lost it entirely, because I was under the impression that some bug or something had deleted it, and I just kind of let it be and I didn't really do much about it. So this is the beginning of the machine from Integrated Dynamics that I will be posting a video explaining in detail another time on the channel. That's not going to be out for probably another few days. But this machine basically breaks a stone block and places it down at the same time with a pickaxe that has an enchantment called Boon of the Earth, which Boon of the Earth gives ores when you break stone. So basically all this does is the auto smelt turns this cobblestone that should drop back into stone, and the Boon of the Earth breaks it and gives you that ore. So at first I was a little worried it wasn't working. I wasn't getting any ore drops, and I was like, oh, what's going on? And I'm like, oh, whatever. I think something might be wrong, but I turned off the sounds here. It was already muted in the video, but I turned off the sounds because it was really loud. I'm using the muffler tab in your inventory, which is a super helpful tool to turn off annoying sounds. You can search by mod and all that. Basically, the ores then started pumping out, and I was super excited, got it to work. This is also a tileable design, but I ended up only doing one section of it. I then switched over, I had my ADHD brain moment, and I switched over to doing Powa for some reason, because I thought that was a good idea. And while it's not shown, by the time I was done doing Powa, the ores were all over the ground. And I only noticed it because I was lagging quite a bit, but it worked out alright. I didn't crash or anything like that, which is good. And after that, I just kind of kept focusing on Powa for a while. I wanted to get this energizing orb setup going so that I could get better power generation, especially for the new storage system. Automation for that isn't usually too expensive power-wise, but it's definitely good to have a better method of producing it than what I had currently, which was really not much. Now, to talk about earlier what I had skipped in a little more detail here, I did end up not doing either the vanilla wither fights that I did, which I did a few of. The Dank 7 required 8 stars, and I think I needed another one for something else. But I did probably around 10 to 15 wither fights, which I didn't show because I just used a wither-proof glass, kind of in the portal configuration that you would see in the end that people do in vanilla to kill the wither. However, I also did the Ender Dragon fight, which isn't going to be shown. You will see the end dimension looks a lot different later on, at least the center island does. And that's because of a mod that's in here that reworks the whole look of it and everything like that. But I didn't actually do anything really different from a vanilla fight, so I didn't show it. I didn't think that was something that needed to be shown again in a modded playthrough, as it's really just a vanilla feature. Next, I wanted to focus on the storage for all the ores we will be producing, because this machine actually makes every single ore, well, not every single, but I would say 99% of the ores in the game. It makes all of the GregTech ores, it makes all the ores, it makes basically everything that isn't all the modium and a few other things. So I put down a bunch of the 4x4, or 2x2 rather, drawers, and I figured those would be good enough storage, but I didn't really know how many I would need. I didn't take the time to count out the ores. I did make a storage controller there and linked the storages to the storage controller. I linked the drawers. And this really did help, but I actually ended up adding drawers quite a few times onto here. I think there's like 2 or 3 other times that I put more drawers on. So you can see me here, I'm linking it. I set it to multiple, click the first corner, click the second, links all the drawers. So basically I can take in or put out items through that one block rather than having to figure out, which drawer has what and exporting it that way. I then used an advanced item collector on that controller and blacklisted stone on it so that the only thing that would be picked up is the ores that it drops and not the stone, so that it stays in the system. After I got that figured out, I spent a little longer working on Powa, upgrading my energizing orb setup, and finally making some magmators, or however you want to pronounce it, I'm not really sure, to basically upgrade our power production. I don't really love or hate the Powa mod, but I do feel like sometimes the energizing orb at the beginning of the game is very slow. Obviously, if I had done more upgrades to the energizing rods, it would have gone faster, and I did later on, but not right away. I do think that it could be faster, but whatever. I ended up getting the first magmator down, and I had two eventually, but I had one for now, and I had more drawers, but the magmators are extremely helpful because I had infinite lava from Create, which I got using a hose pulley in the nether, in a giant lava lake, basically to get infinite lava. Now the format of this video is definitely different than it's going to be from here on out, but I did want to address that topic of why we were so far ahead compared to the previous episode, and I thank you for bearing with me with that. If you enjoy modded Minecraft content or liked the video, feel free to leave a like, possibly even subscribe if you're interested. I'm going to be posting a lot more videos from here on out, and I'm excited to share them with everyone here. So thank you for watching, and this is Orochio, signing out.